Hello guys, this is IDQ, and in this video I want to talk about Medusa. I think this hero is pretty strong in this meta currently because of the new build that was found, the Aghanim Scepter build. Mentor into Aghanim.
If you like this type of content, go to gamersclass.com. For just $9.99 a month, watch masterclasses with pro players, join exclusive live sessions, and get 24/7 access to coaches and other high MMR players. Get full control of your ranked games and start owning with our Supreme Dota 2 membership.
So, first of all, laning stage, it is decent for Medusa. The only issue that she has is that she doesn't really have that much base damage, as you can see. It's only like 56 level 1, so instead of this magic wand that Ace bought in this game, I would suggest buying Quelling Blade. It is really helpful for Medusa. It gives you 6 bonus damage for 150 or 130 gold, so it's really good. But the main part is that you can also cut some trees later in the game, so it's really important to have it when you're jungling. For example, this tree you can cut it so you have more vision. Here is okay. Here you could be cutting this tree, if you're playing Radiant, this tree is super important to be able to cut, so you can hit from here, both camps, because it's more efficient hitting from here than from here. Also, there are more spots on the map, right? Even this tree, so you can farm from here, from the middle. So that's why I would suggest buying a Quelling Blade. You will see that later in the game, she still bought a Quelling Blade, but I would just suggest starting with it. Also, because of the laning stage not having enough damage. He went for Magic Stick in this game because he thought I was playing versus Rubik, but Rubik played bottom in this game because there was an X, so Bounty Hunter support isn't really good against X, right? Since a melee hero, an X can just spin whenever you're attacking. So they didn't want to do that. The item build from Medusa is very similar, especially the first item. Magic Wand Rush is really good sometimes, and then you can just buy a raid ban and then thread. This is what you should be doing every game. Mainly in the laning stage, all you have to do is sort of not die, right? You're super tanky, you have a mana shield, so you shouldn't really be dying in the laning stage. It's really important that you don't die so you lose the experience, because you need points in split shot to farm faster. So it's really important not to die. Another pretty important thing when considering picking Medusa is that you pick it against opponents that don't really contest you, right? They can really invade you in jungle. For example, Storm, something like that, that could just jump after you early game when you're weak. Obviously, the early game is the weakest point in Medusa's games, as was with most hard carries. So you should try to pick it against some heroes that don't really want to invade your jungle and come harass you early game. Another thing that you might want to consider is picking Medusa when you have a support or a set of heroes that complement you well, right? So in this game there is Invoker that can give you alacrity. Abaddon has a lot of saves and then heals. So it's really important to try to pick when it's also good. The hero does a lot of stuff well, right? It's super tanky, can take Roche, can siege towers. The only issues that it has is that it doesn't have that much. It doesn't have that many disables, right? Obviously, don't have any disables. Like, people can just run away from you. So that's why we will go for the second item, Aghanim Scepter, so you can turn people into stone. So you also, also deal more damage. It's a thing that not a lot of people know, that you deal bonus physical damage, right? As you can see right there, bonus physical damage on ultimate 50% max level. I believe it also works with Aghanim Scepter when you're freezing someone, right? So you also gain like 50% more damage while they're frozen into stone. A really good thing that you might want to consider on Medusa is going jungle. Obviously, after the lane stage over, you really need to go jungle. As you can see, this is one of the greatest spots to farm for Dire. You can just hit 2 camps all together. These ones are also really easy to take, obviously. So Dire jungle is super easy to farm for Medusa. As I said, you sort of out-farm every single hero on the map, especially early game, because of the multi-shot. So all you have to do is pick it when the opponents don't really have a hero to contest, right? In this game they have a Tinker. Tinker obviously doesn't really go in the enemy jungle to contest the Medusa, so all he's doing is farming. So Medusa is very happy with it. As you can see, as I mentioned before, he still buys a Quelling Blade even after the laying stage. It's super important. First item on Medusa that you wanna go is Yasha, no matter what, right? So from Yasha you can go for SNY or Manta. Usually you wanna buy Manta because your illusions also have split shot, right? So you can farm waves very easily with your Manta illusions also. The skill build is usually how he's doing right here. Ace, you get 1 point in mana shield until later, 3 points in mystic stake. Sometimes you can even get 2 if the laning stage is super easy and you feel like you don't need the third point in mystic stake to secure less hits. And obviously you will go and max split shot. I suggest keeping ultimate because it's not really useful in farming, so since you will retreat yourself to the jungle early game, you don't really need an ultimate because it doesn't really help you that much, obviously. I suggest not farming Ancients until you have a Yasha, since it can be quite difficult to farm stacks, especially especially if there's stacks. Even one can damage you a lot, so you're more open to ganks if you farm Ancients. But after Yasha it's quite easy to do, right? So that's why I think we should only be going for this camp right here and this one, farming from here or here very easily with split shot, only after you have a Yasha, so you don't lose that much HP, to be honest. You should always prioritize farming waves, to be honest, because it's a lot more gold than jungle. Obviously you can farm 2 camps at once with split shot, however you really need experience, right? It's really important to get level 15. Level 15 power spike is the plus 35% mystic stake mana gain, and that pairs really well with Aghanims, right? You can just be 0 mana and then use 1 snake and get like 2000 mana back. So that's why this hero is super strong later in the game. Obviously at level 10 you wanna go for 15% evasion always. In this case Ace went for plus 15 damage because he's playing against Tinker, which obviously doesn't really... he has no use for evasion against Centaur, against Rubik, Tinker, Bounty Hunter, and also Gyro has a lot of magical damage, right? So there's no point in going evasion. But usually you wanna go for evasion at level 10 against heroes like PL, Void, Terrorblade, whatever, anything that hits you, TA even. So yeah, this is the usual talent path. 50% evasion, 35% Mystic Snake mana gain, and then at level 20 I would suggest minus 3 seconds on Mystic Snake cooldown, because usually people don't get frozen by ultimate, right? You could maybe theoretically get it when you have a lot of disables, the first time plus 2 seconds stone gaze duration, but only if you have a lot of disables and you know that your teammates can just focus the enemies, right, and keep them in place for the ult to go off. And then at level 25 you should always take split shot, use his modifiers. There's no reasonable path where you could get plus 75 intelligence. You should just itemize yourself so you get more intelligence, right? The first timing that the hero gets is Manta. Obviously you can push a lot more with Manta. You can also split farm very fast. As I said before, Manta illusions can also have the split shot, so you can just farm waves very easily with 0 risk. So it's really good because of that. The main issue that I feel like the hero encounters, especially in pubs, is that you need to you have a timing, right? So you need to respect the timing. And in pubs, usually people don't really want to like gather together and push something. So it's really important to do what he's doing, right? He gets a timing, meta style, he instantly goes to push a tower, right? Literally instantly goes to push a tower. But in pubs, this is the issue with the hero, I feel like, because most people just want to farm and go to later in the game when you have more items. However, I feel like Medusa is the strongest early to mid game. Obviously, late game Medusa is a scary concept, but a lot of the other heroes get stronger, right? The main power of the hero is her farming speed. So in the late game, the farming speed is negated because a lot of other heroes have more stuff than her. For example, Void has a Chronosphere, that can help the team fight better. Anti-Mage has split pushing that Medusa can't really do, right? She can't really split push, she's just sort of a tank that can just hit buildings. So that's why you really need to focus on a timing, right? So you should try to when you feel like you're stronger than enemies and hit a timing, just go run down a lane. And it's quite easy to do with Medusa, because you will be so much more farmed than your opponents, as you can see right here. Right, you have like 2000 gold advantage over the highest enemy farm hero. Usually this is what happens, right? Average timing for Medusa Manta is 50 minutes, so sort of right now, but Ace has a perfect game, nobody's contesting me. 190 CS in 50 minutes. Obviously, you won't be getting this in most of the pops. The second timing of the Angling Scepter would be around 20 minutes, 90 to 22 minutes. So that should be your chance to go and take a team fight again and push a tower. You obviously want to push high ground as soon as possible, and that is usually when you're taking a rush, right? When you have Aegis, there's nobody contesting you anyway, he can't really kill you, but with Aegis you just are certain that nobody can do any damage to you or do anything to stop you from hitting a tower, right? This is the moment 80 minutes in, when Ace just finishes his Aghanim Scepter. As I said, this is the second timing, right? Manta and then Aghanim Scepter, second timing. This is when your hero gets completely different, right? Before that, you didn't have any control, right? You can't really do anything. But now you have a stun that can stun multiple people, right? So you can see he instantly just runs in and is killing a support as a Medusa. In like, there are 4 enemies here, or 5. You see Centaur, Bounty Hunters here, Tinker also uses rockets and stuff. Gyrocopter is also running right here, and she doesn't really care about anything. It's super strong. You also like have kill potential with this Mystic Snake. Also, nobody can burn your mana because of how much mana you gain just by the talent, right? Level 15 talent. So it's super important that you push your advantage as much as possible, right? After this point, when you get the eggs, as I said, you should be running down a lane or taking rush. Do something with the advantage that you're having over the opponents, right? There's 4000 gold advantage over the next opponent. As you can see, he's evading the enemy triangle. They can't really farm there. They're taking a tower also, taking team fights. They're still sitting in enemy triangle, as you can see, even if their middle laner is dead. Invoker's dead. Dark Willow isn't even there, and they're still camping the enemy triangle because she's so much stronger than our opponent. Here, I believe he goes for Skadi. However, usually I would say that you want to buy a butterfly right now. She's going for Skadi just because of the concept that I said before, right? They don't have any right clickers. That's why she didn't go for 15% evasion. But usually you want to go for a butterfly, right? You combine it with 15% evasion, get a butterfly like 20-25 minutes in, get an Aegis. The enemy carry doesn't really do anything, right? Nobody can get a MKB as fast as like 20 minutes reliably. So, and then you can just try to push a high ground. It is super important. As I said, try to end the game early. Obviously, right now they just get Aegis and get a Skadi, right? And then try to push high ground. Even though they have a Tinker, that's the only thing they're stopping me. As you can see, 22 minutes Skadi, Manta X. I would say these items are closer to 24-25 minutes in a normal game, not full free farm. As you can see, 350 CS in 20 minutes. So, obviously, just a perfect game right here. Afterwards, just going for Butterfly. This is exactly as I said before. You gain so much damage from the Butterfly and a lot of stuff that you need, such as evasion. And Butterfly also got a reduced cost a little bit, so you know it's super good for Medusa. You're just hitting towers, right? So nothing just helps you hit towers than evasion, because the towers don't do any damage to you. You also have a lot more agility, which is something that you need on this hero. Obviously, this is what you should be doing. Just camping the enemy's triangle so you don't let them farm the ancients, which is the most efficient gold-wise, efficient spot to farm gold-wise. Right now, I believe that she is going for an MKB because of the Tinker, right? So she doesn't want to miss because of the Aghanim Scepter Tinker. I mean, just the laser, not Aghanim Scepter. But usually you would want to go, as I said, Manta into Aghanim Scepter, Butterfly, then Skadi, most likely, because you really need the mana, right? You don't want to run out of mana. Obviously, it gives you a lot of stats and mana, so yeah, it's super important. As the last item, or second to last item, It's either MKB after you have this plus a butterfly. It's either MKB instead of the magic wand or Aegis or a Daedalus. It depends on what you need, right? If the opponents have a lot of evasion, halberds or whatever, you could buy an MKB. Else you should be buying a Daedalus most likely, because the damage increase is so high, especially when you have a level 25 and Split Trust uses modifiers. Another item that you might want to consider is Maelstrom, Mjolnir. I mean, it's really good against PL, but that should be like PL or Naga, but that's the only real case to buy Mjolnir. Else you should just be going sort of this type of item build. I believe those are like the only items that are viable for the hero. Obviously sometimes you can buy a Swift Blink if you really feel like it, but that's like the last item, right? And this should be only be bought if you sort of need to catch an enemy hero, but usually you have teammates that can, right? So Swift Blink is not that great, to be honest. However, it can be used instead of the boots, right? Super late in the game, 40-45 minutes in. For the last slot, you can buy a Swift Blink, sort of replacing the movement speed that you would be getting from threads when you're pressing the blink. At this moment in the game, you're so much stronger than opponents. You're so far ahead of them that you can just go and hit towers. This game is only continuing because the enemies have a Tinker, but usually the game would be over right here when Medusa is so farm. Nobody could really like tanker hits, and the great thing about it is that you're not just hitting one person. Obviously, you're hitting multiple persons because of the split shot. Another great thing that we should be considering is buying Shard on Medusa, especially when the opponents have a lot of lockdown, right? Whenever you're targeted with a spell, I mean obviously there's a 12-second cooldown, but whenever you're targeted with a spell, a snake is flying out, right? So you're basically replacing the mana that you're losing because of the opponents damaging you just because of the shard, instead of waiting to get out of the lockdown and then pressing the spell. This should be considered whenever the opponents have like Shadow Shaman, Lion, stuff like that can really hinder your ability to play the team fight. Press your spells, obviously, the Mystic Snake. However, you shouldn't really be buying this 20 minutes in my opinion, the shard, because you are most likely going to get another Rosh, right? If you can secure the first Rosh, that means that you should always be securing the second Rosh also. So you should just be getting the shard out of the second Roshan. The last thing to consider when playing Medusa is words, actually. It's a pretty important thing to know when playing Medusa. For example, this word right here just allows me to farm these two camps, right? Usually you wouldn't be able to farm them both at the same time, since only one is visible. So this is super important to know. Another word that you might consider on the Radiant side would be this. So you can sort of see this one and this one, these two camps, right? You can just do this once and then like this. Usually it wouldn't be possible, I believe. So that's why it's pretty important to have this word. The Quelling Blade is also pretty important. Like I said, you could be cutting this tree and then, you know, just farming these two camps together a lot faster, a lot more efficient than, you know, just not doing it. So sort of like this, right? You can be doing that. Here on the Radiant side, obviously you should be just farming like this. Not really important any words or anything like that. Obviously this one right here is sort of similar to the Radiant one, like this. So it's exactly the same thing. Should be doing it like this because of this word. And this one is also pretty good. So you can farm this camp and this camp together, right? Usually would be possible. Those are sort of the words that you need to farm the jungle extremely efficient with Medusa. What I advise you to farm is this one and this camp together, right? These two together by sitting right here, and then these two together, right? By sitting sort of somewhere right here. So in two farming spots, two farming position, you're farming 4 camps instead of doing it like this, right? you get this one, for example, and then you go from this and then you go from this. So there are 3 positions instead of only 2. Here, obviously, you can just farm it in the middle, sort of right here, right? But you will take damage by doing this. So that's why you should be cutting these 2 trees and try to move here, sort of, right? Because creeps won't be able to hit you right here. Or, you know, just do a little bit of damage instead of a lot of damage. Like this, sort of, you know. So that's why it's pretty important to have a Quelling Blade and also knowing when to ward. I mean, where to ward. Thank you for watching the video. I have been IDQ. Have a nice day.